I would like to call to order the Winthrop School Committee meeting of Monday, May 20th, 2024. This meeting is being held in the Harvey Hearing Room, 1 Metcalf Square, and the time is 6 o'clock. May I have the roll call, please?
Ms. Leonard? Yes. Mr. Lettieri?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Yep.
Ms. Petrie? Here. Ms. Harrington?
Here.
Ms. Barry?
Here.
Ms. Powell?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Martucci, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of John Guthrow. He was a Winthrop Spanish teacher and a football coach for over 3 decades. Touched many lives and was an important part of the school system, and we would like to honor him and remember him with a moment of silence. Thank you. We have no public comment tonight, and we have no visitors or delegates this evening. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 6, 2024?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Purinton, second by Ms. Petrie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
1.
Motion passes. May I have a motion to approve warrant SVW 24-19 in the amount of $344,384.20?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Berry, second by Ms. Leonard. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Leonard? Mr. Lettieri?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Mr. Purinton?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. May I have a motion for payroll warrant SPW 24-23 in the amount of $851,256.08?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Ms. Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Ms. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Lettieri?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Abstain.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Mr. Purinton?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. And that brings us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. As most of you know, Thursday night we had the FinCom meeting. It was very well attended, so I was pleased to see the number of people who came out. I think we had some great conversations with PTO and staff members and the Winthrop Teachers Union, and probably anyone else I could speak to as I saw people floating around our schools about the FinCom meeting. And to come, and it was a good opportunity, although there's not any public comment during those meetings, it is a good opportunity to hear sort of the state of the schools and where we're headed. It's interesting to be invited to a meeting, a FinCom meeting. Typically, I'm the one who's holding the meetings and sort of running the show and have my PowerPoints and lots of information to share. So this was a different type of meeting in which the FinCom invited me to come out and speak on the budget. So I felt that it was important to let them know what the needs-based budget was, as I've done here with the school committee, as well as with all of the PTOs in group sessions and with the Winthrop Teachers Association. So being able to share that information with them in a way that's understandable was my goal, so that they could really have a good understanding of what our budget is this year compared to what the school committee has approved for next year, which is a needs-based budget. So we were able to outline and not go through line by line, because as you know, there's about 400 lines in the school's budget. So that's really not a good use of time. They had the budget ahead of time, so there was a lot that they could review ahead of time and ask questions if they needed to for clarification, and also see what the needs of the school district are for FY25. And when we talked about the needs, somebody brought up a good point. Are these aspirations for the school, or are these things that you need because, and then I'm summarizing, so I'm not quoting directly, but because for the last several years you've put forth things that the school district would like to have and believe that the students need to have an equitable and a strong education, but you never got those, so are you kind of holding back? So I thought that was some good clarification, and it was correct. We were asking for what we felt the students needed to be competitive with other schools around them, but we did not go over the top in terms of what we were asking for. And I think the term gun-shy was used, and to be gun-shy about asking for too much, knowing that you're probably not going to get even a little, based on, obviously, the revenue issues we have just townwide. So I thought that was good clarification. We were able to go through what those items were that we were seeking in the FY25 budget, and then we were able to sort of focus on what does our budget look like this year, and what is, without all of the things that we have outlined in a needs-based budget, what would that look like? So we were able to provide clarification on that, and with a understanding at the end that even just a level service budget with what we believe the town is going to be able to afford to give us based on the 60-40 percentage rate split, we were still going to have a struggle, about a $1.7 million struggle to be at level service. And so then we talked a little bit about how we, which is me, along with all my teammates, administrators and central office staff, we're going to take that challenge of that $1.7 million deficit, and what could we do between now and the end of the school year to try to offset some of that deficit. I did explain to the Finance Commission that we did freeze the FY24 budget in early March, anticipating that we may not receive a full level service budget or a needs-based budget for FY25. And what does that mean? That means that we stopped spending, for the most part, on anything we could and didn't have to have immediately, with the understanding that at the end of this school year, which for me is now, to take the money that we haven't spent and to look at where we can bring it forward to the FY25 budget in term, not carry it forward, some carry forwards, but primarily prepaying items that are allowable in costs, such as materials and supplies. The state allows you to prepay certain items. Because we're 85% salary and 15% expenses, there's not a lot we can prepay, but anything we prepay this year will help offset that anticipated deficit for FY25 if we were to receive the expected funding that the 60-40 split would allow. So for an update on that, prior to that meeting and up until 10 minutes before I came down here, we are really working the prepayment, seeing what the allowable costs to prepay are and how we can take that out of this year's budget. So that's a big process. When you get to, when we talked about the budget, we didn't have any transfers yet for this meeting, but you can expect a lot of transfers next meeting, because again, at the end of the year, it's usual and customary for us to clean up all our lines. I think talked a little bit about the perception of finding money. There's no money to be found. We know exactly what we have. We know exactly what we have in this budget, but occasionally you have to move lines from cost centers to be able to cover the things that you need. If it's in a supply line and you want to use it for a contractual expense, then we have to move that money. So the next couple of meetings, you'll see a lot of transfers, and hopefully we'll come to you with a solid explanation of what those are so that it's clear to you as well as the community. That was it on the Finance Commission. I did mention at the Finance Commission meeting that the school committee may have an interest in two things. One is creating a stabilization fund for the schools that would allow us to have money kept in an outside account that would be overseen by the town council. If there were expenses that we didn't spend on, as opposed to prepaying items, the stabilization account would allow us to ask the town council to transfer that money from the school's account into a stabilization account, and then the town holds on to that money, and we can come back as a school committee to the town council and ask them for an appropriation of money that is in that stabilization account, and they would vote to allow us to do so. Without a stabilization account, and with us being where we're at with the forecast for the budget, we will not likely have much in outside accounts as for any flexibility or contingency. And if we didn't have a stabilization account and one with money in it, we would be asking the town for supplemental budgets, which means they have to take from other town departments or other town accounts to cover an emergent need in the school. So hopefully we'll have a budget subcommittee meeting, if not by the end of this week, then early next week, so that we can have further conversation on that. The other item that can also come up in budget subcommittee, I think, I'm not 100% sure, I'll have to check with school council on that, is if the school district is going to move forward for an override and request, we would have to request to the town to be on an override, to have an override question put on the ballot. More work needs to be done on that with the committee. I will talk to school council to find out how we can have that conversation, if it has to be in public, or if that is something that is done initially in executive session, but I believe it has to be public. So I'll talk with Chairperson Powell at some point to see how we want to move forward in the near future with both of those items. And let me see one more thing. I can hold on public relations till the end.
Do we have,
Yeah, good. Yeah, go, you go.
yes,
So a couple things. One, first on the warrants. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I never brought it up, but I think we should be, since, this is the first year that we've had a more inclusive budget with all the cost associated with the schools, on the schools, right? Including debt service, benefits, group insurance, unemployment, and such. But that's not in the warrants that we're voting for. We should be voting, to me, we should be voting to approve those costs.
By the town side.
I'm sorry?
They're handled by the town side.
No, they are, but they should, if they're on our budget, they're our responsibility for payment, right? I mean, it's our, technically, it's the school's appropriation to okay. It's not the town, I mean, it used to be for years and years and years. Now, since it's been transferred to the school, I think the school committee's voting every meeting to pay bills that is associated with the school account. These bills now are associated with the school's account. The school committee should be authorizing the payment of these.
Yeah, and I do think it makes sense. However, I think we need to talk with the town in terms of how those bills are paid, because although the line items are in our budget, we do not process any of the payments at all. So it is a conversation I do think we need to have either with the town manager or with town council about, it makes sense what you're saying, because it is in our school budget, and the money is coming out of our school budget. This being the first year, the money came into our school budget from the town in exact amount. So the line item that came into the school's budget came with an appropriation of money that was not set by the school department. We did not determine that figure. That was determined from the town side. So I think, what you're saying does make sense. It's a matter of how do we work with the town side to bring that information back to the school committee in terms of how much they're paying each month. I think they'd have to transfer that to our warrant, because I don't believe it appears in our warrant, even
It
though
does.
the line
It
items
should.
appear. Yeah,
It does.
even though they appear in the budget. So I think what would have to happen with the town side would have to, as they manage those payments and actually make the payments, would have to then let us know month by month what has been paid, so that we can include that.
It should be included in the packet. Certain items,
Yeah.
obviously, like debt service and stuff, it's pretty consistent and it's the same. But group insurance isn't necessarily, depending on how many employees. If you lose an employee and it gives you
Right,
better
right.
consistency, better clarification, I just think it's, technically, the town's approving to take out the school's money away, which legally, I don't know if that's, it should just
Yeah.
be something that's looked at. It's
Yeah,
just been.
sure.
We can look at it.
Good point, yep.
And just to follow up on your conversation from the FinCom, I do think, I was there as many other members of the school committee and council were, and you did a fantastic job, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
And, override discussion was brought up, but I think just for clarification, override discussion was brought up more for fiscal ‑26, not for fiscal '25.
Yeah, I don't know if we landed I don't know if anyone explained a time frame on that.
Right.
So I don't know if it was made clear that would be the appropriate time we would be going for it, so you're correct.
Yeah. But it's definitely something that should be discussed with the school committee and then ultimately with the council, and it's, you know, not that there should be an override just because it's been 15 years, but you look at the cost of living and the inflation and such, and just the cost of anything right now, and it's, you could understand that 2.5% just can't cut it right now in this day and age for this time anyway.
Sure.
Thank you.
Other comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Jim's comment about, I thought you did a terrific job. I also just wanted sort of the public, all of the people that are clearly watching this meeting with bated breath, to be aware of something that I thought was really important that came out of that meeting, which was, I believe the chair of the committee really started to drill down on this idea that our needs-based budget is not aspirational. Our needs-based budget is foundational to having an adequate and solid education in Winthrop. And I think that when every year that goes by, and many, many have gone by, that we haven't gotten a needs-based budget, I think we need to be really articulate about all the things that we still don't have. Band, the reading specialists we're asking for, everything that's in this needs-based budget, that if we don't get it this year, we are not getting. And I just wanted to again say, I think it's really important, Lisa, and thank you for really letting us know and giving language for each of what will be lost if the needs-based budget is not approved. And I understand we're in a major deficit, but let's say we do push an override for another year's time, which I know there's some appetite for that. And I know we're not having that conversation right now,
Yep.
but I would just say again, I think it's really important that we recognize the needs-based budget is the budget we need this year,
Yep.
And it's frankly the budget we needed last year and the year before.
Right.
And every year that we don't approve a needs-based budget, the deficits in terms of services get greater and greater and greater. And so I think it's really important that we recognize that. And I was really, I think, by and large, I thought the FinCom really understood that. And I got the sense that they were really committed to crafting a narrative about what kind of schools we want our town to have. And that decision in terms of what kind of schools we want our town to have is a town-wide decision.
Right.
And one way to have that conversation is through a conversation about an override.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I just
no.
wanted to kind of summarize that.
Sure, yeah, and I do think that, you know, I'm very grateful to the FinCom, and I sent them a thank you letter or email. I felt like they were listening. I felt like they understood where we were coming from. I know that they can't fix our problem, and I do feel like they really were invested in understanding, which, you know, can be hard when you have a budget as large as ours. It's very hard to understand. And there are parts of that budget that, you know, it's not really hard to understand, but if you were to sit there and ask questions, it would probably be a 3-day conversation because there are so many line items. So I was pleased with their questions. I thought their questions were thoughtful. I thought they were reflective, and I thought they also gave some really good summaries around their thought as we were having the conversation. So I always question myself when I come out of those meetings, but several people at this table got a phone call for me to say, what did you think? You know, which I do like the reflection, and I do like people to say, well, I think if you know, expanded on this, it would have been better, because it only makes me a little bit better the next time that we have these conversations. So I think we're gonna have quite a few in the next several months, so I appreciate that.
Any other comment? Moving on, we have a resignation and retirement resignation of Christian Austin, a WHS teacher, and the retirement of Chris Suma. And with that, we would like we want to approve a sick day buyback
And that's specific to Chris Suma.
to Chris Suma.
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve the buyback of sick days for Chris Suma?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lettieri, second by Ms. Petrie. Any discussion? Hearing none, can I have a roll call?
Is Ms. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Lettieri?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Mr. Perrotin?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. And postings.
Yes, we have a special education teacher anticipated opening at the Arthur T. Cummings for next year. All of our summer programming positions have been posted. And we also anticipate the need to replace a STEM teacher who has been on a leave of absence, and we're not sure if she'll be returning, so we want to have that out there, so that we can at least recruit some folks. And we have no leaves of absence.
Okay, and for the record, the motion, the vote for Christima's buyback was approved. Under new business, I have the child nutrition procurement procedures.
So those are procurement procedures that we had an audit, and they asked us to review and revise. They made some suggestions to our procurement procedures, so it's not a policy, but they are procedures. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be going in the wrong direction. It's about 25 pages, but they were very specific things that they felt we needed to have written within the procedures, and we both felt that the school committee should have that packet so that they understand the adjustments and changes that we're making. And I don't believe it requires a vote. Or do you believe
I'm
it
not
does?
sure. It's a USDA mandated language, so that's why it's not been included before. So USDA has made a lot of changes around their federal procurement stuff, so it just wasn't stuff that we had captured before.
Okay.
As part of the audit, we have to submit that we've adopted the policy, so I don't know if it needs a formal vote, but
Yeah, I mean, because
just
they're,
need to
because they're procedures and it's not policy, I don't think we need an adoption, but I do think, and if we do, I'll make sure I get that done relatively quickly, but I do know that we need to memorialize it in the minutes of the meeting, that we've provided you that you have seen it, reviewed it, and if there are any questions or concerns that you have about it, you can ask us now. If not, we'll report that in the meeting minutes as well.
Any questions about the procedures? Hearing none. We have retirement citations that are going to be issued for Diane Adelstein, Jeff Beck, Sam Chen, Donna Cummings, Janice Emerton, Lauren Sennett, and Lauren Sennett. I will read the citation that I am asking you to approve, and then I will ask for a motion to approve all of the citations. Whereas the teacher has completed 35 years of service to the student of Winthrop, and in this case it's Donna Cummings, has been a devoted and loyal friend and colleague, and has had a strong positive impact on scores of Winthrop students throughout her display of genuine concern for young people. Therefore, be it resolved that the school committee of the town of Winthrop expresses its congratulations and best wishes, and that it is voted and made part of the official minutes of the Winthrop School Committee on this evening, May 20th, 2024. May I have a motion to approve those citations?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Ms. Berry. Any discussion? I would just like to express appreciation for these teachers and the service that they did. This is it's a remarkable achievement and gift to the town to have stayed as long as they have. And with that, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Lettieri?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie?
Yes.
Mr. Purinton?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. We have no unfinished business tonight, and that brings us to public relations.
Just a few. Congratulations to the middle school students of the month for April. For grade 6, we have William Reth and Evelyn Anil. For grade 7, we have Gabby Bustamante and Emma Priite. For grade 8, Jelaine Huhari and Lila McCary. Congratulations to the North Shore Chamber of Commerce top 5% of the class recipients: Samantha Demento, Rachel Flynn, Myra Arvanis, Henry Kalemi, Edwin Santamaria Aguela, and Kaylee Sullivan and John Tracy. And also congratulations to Winthrop High School junior Amelia Spencer for being chosen to serve on the 2024-2025 MIAA Student Advisory Committee. 104 students across the Commonwealth applied, and she was one of the 27 student athletes that had been selected to serve. In addition to this well-deserved honor, out of the 27 chosen to serve, Amelia was one of the 4 chosen to attend the National Student Leadership Summit in Indianapolis this summer, so we're excited for Amelia. The John Domenico dedication of the Ingleside Tennis Courts was held on April 24th. And we also want to congratulate Hannah Parker, Talia Martucci, and Ace Daniel on their 100th career point achievement in lacrosse, so congrats to those students. The Drama Society performed How to Get Away with the Murder Mystery. Great take by all, as usual. Our drama program excels and exceeds expectations every time they present. Congratulations to our track team that completed in the NECs over the weekend. Our track athletes are showing up for sure. George Galoris placed first in the javelin. Nick Capuccio placed first in the 200-meter and second in the long jump, and second in the 100-meter. And Reese Broden placed fifth in the javelin. The Gorman Fort Banks PTO is hosting a fundraiser on Wednesday, May 29th at La Siesta. 10% of all takeout and in-house dining goes to the PTO. There are some great raffles as well included in the night. They have a night at Encore for two. A night at Encore and a dinner for two at the Rare Steakhouse, and many great gift certificates and items. You can email the fortbankspto@gmail.com if you have any questions, or you can jump on the Fort Banks website and find that information. And, you know, just shout out to our restaurant people in the community. They always step it up and offer time, and 10%, I get 2.5% stuck in my head for the rest of my life. 10% is a pretty good number.
Fantastic. Any
That's all
other
I have.
public relations? Hearing none, may I have, oh, yes.
I think this is our last meeting before graduation. I just want to wish
Yes.
the seniors an incredible senior week and good weather for graduation, Friday the 31st. It's an incredible event. They'll remember it for the rest of their lives, and congratulations to all.
And you can pray for Mr. Crombie and I all day on that day before and the day of, with the two of us. You know, the weatherman, I'm coming back in my next life as a weatherman, as we all know, because you can get it wrong and still have a job the next day. But we're hoping for less rain than we had last year when folks got soaked. So lots of good activities coming up that I mentioned in the last meeting. But again, the high school website, just jump on there. All the senior activities are listed, so you can see what's going on.
Wonderful. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh,
It's okay.
no, please.
I was just gonna say that some of the students at Fort Banks had field trips recently, and I had the pleasure of chaperoning the second grade's first ever field trip to the Stone Zoo, and so thank you to the PTO for funding that for the students to be able to have that opportunity. They were all very excited and mostly well-behaved. No, they were great. They were great, they had fun.
Always a great experience. Okay, now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Berry, second by Ms. Petrie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.